Hey everyone! So, I haven't posted a video in over 2 months. Sorry about that. Been kinda busy. But now I'm back. So, without any further ado, on with the show. Hello and welcome to the Lair of the Visionary, where I show you how to build your very own props. And for this build, let's make a samurai sword. Let's begin. For this build you'll need pencil or pen, scissors, box cutter, Gorilla Tape, hot glue gun and glue sticks, cardboard, wooden dowel, shoelaces, and paint. So to start off, you're going to want to make a template for the sword. So taking a big sheet of cardstock, I traced the template out. Then proceeded to cut it out. If you don't have enough material to make the template of the sword, you can always just tape on some extra cardstock to lengthen the sword template. For the length of the sword, the typical length of a Japanese katana's blade was around 60 centimeters, and for the handle and width of the sword, I made them about 29 and 4 centimeters respectively. So after cutting the template out, I traced it onto some long cardboard, then flipped it over and traced it out once again. Oh, and if the cardboard is too short for you to trace the template onto, you can just add on some extra as you'll see later. So then, proceed to cut both pieces out. So now, in order to prevent the cardboard from bending, and to hold the sword's shape, taking some old fiberglass poles, used for a tent, I made the necessary modifications to the poles. Then hot glued them onto one of the cardboard pieces on the side opposite to where the sharp edge of the sword would naturally be. And I know chances are you don't have any tent poles at your disposal. Heck, you might not even own a tent. But luckily you can just as easily use a wooden dowel. Oh, and one more thing, when hot gluing the pole onto the cardboard pieces, you're going to want to make sure that there is about 5 centimeters of distance between the pole and the tip of the blade. So then I hot glued the other cardboard piece over everything else, thus effectively sandwiching the pole in between the two cardboard pieces. So, to give the tip of the sword some extra strength to prevent it from bending, I hot glued a popsicle stick in between the two cardboard pieces, like the way you see here. So then, I cut a slit on the spot dividing the blade from the handle. Then hot glued a piece of clothes hanger in between the two cardboard pieces, opposite to the side where the fiberglass pole is. And what we're essentially doing is making the handle of the sword rectangular in shape, as opposed to the blade, which has a wedge shape. So then, I taped some long strips of Gorilla Tape onto both sides of the blade of the sword. Then cut off the excess. Now you'll likely still have a little bit more excess Gorilla Tape. To fix this, taking our hot glue gun, using the heated tip, I melted and smoothed out the remaining excess tape. I then gave the blade of the sword a coat of silver spray paint. Now for the handle, taking a paper bag, I cut a piece out and spray adhesed it around the sword's handle. I then painted it a golden brown. and then I gave the entire sword a coat of gloss plastic spray. So for the Japanese katana's unique wrapping, taking 3 pairs of shoelaces, I cut the ends of the laces off. Then, taking some matches, I heated the ends of the laces up and effectively melted them all together into one long piece. But seriously kids, don't play with fire. Now it's time to wrap the handle of the katana. So in order to give the handle that samurai sword look, I placed the exact center of the material onto the top of the handle, then flipped the handle over and gave one end of the material a twist, then had both ends crisscross over each other. Then from there it's just a matter of rinse and repeat. And yes, I know this isn't the exact way that you're supposed to wrap a katana, but this is just the way it worked for me. Now for the guard of the sword, taking a piece of cereal box cardboard, I traced out a square shape 9 by 9 centimeters in diameter. Oh, and you're also going to want to trace out a wedge into the center of the square, large enough for it to fit over the blade. Now, depending on personal preference, the guards on samurai swords can either be round or square. It's really up to you. So after cutting the square out, I traced it onto another piece of cereal box cardboard. Then cut it out. Then in turn traced one of the square pieces onto some regular cardboard. And then I cut that piece out. And now you're going to want to glue the cereal box cardboard pieces onto both sides of the cardboard piece, like so. So then I painted the guard gray. Then placed the guard over the blade and hot glued it into place. I then hot glued a piece of cardboard that I painted silver around the blade above the guard. And that's it for the samurai sword, but we're not done yet. For the sheath of the sword, taking a large piece of cardboard, I traced the length of the blade onto it. Then I cut it out. Then bent, wrapped, and hot glued it around the sword. I also hot glued a bottom to the sheath. And then lastly, I painted the sheath black. And that's how you make a samurai sword and sheath.